Hello, my name is Beatriz Sosa, and I am here to get us started with our Ford Motor company analysis. Our group consists of myself, Samantha Back, Ms. Brittany Braswell, and Sandra Rodriguez. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, our outline. Ford Motor Company. We're here to provide a fundamental analysis of Ford's vision, their mission, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat analysis, and review aspects of their strategy in order to understand the company's business and their environment. At the same time, we're going to identify some opportunities while evaluating their market contribution and future growth. Our team responsibilities. Ms. Samantha Back is going to walk us through competitor analysis. Brittany Braswell, our vision, mission, SWOT. Sandra Rodriguez, strategy. And myself, the outline, the introduction, and the conclusion. So the introduction, let's talk about Henry Ford himself, the founder of Ford Motor Company. He was successful with this company, but he had two companies prior to this that he wasn't so successful. If you see right here on the upper left-hand corner, his first development was a quadricycle. It was his first automobile. Right here to the right-hand corner, you'll see Henry Ford himself. He was very interested in how things worked. He would take them apart and put them back together. He would do that a lot with friends and family's watches. He was known as a watchman on his block, so he was really interested in that. He was inspired when he introduced a moving assembly line. He was inspired by the meat packing industry and how they did their processes in their factories. He was the chief engineer of Edison Illuminating Company. With Thomas Edison himself, he worked closely with, and this ended up being a really good friend of his and a personal hero, is how Henry Ford saw him. Such good friends that right here on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see this test tube where Henry requested Thomas Edison's last breath to be put into this test tube. So that actually is in the Henry Ford Museum, if anybody ever wants to visit that. Tidbit about the company itself is it's the second largest family-owned company. Every CEO is a blood relative, so you can't marry into the family and work your way up to the CEO. You have to be a direct descendant of Henry Ford himself. The loved animation cartoon, the Charlie Brown and Snoopy, was actually debuted by Ford Motors in one of their really early commercials. So kind of an interesting tidbit there. The history of Ford Motor Company. So Ford Motors was actually founded in 1903 by Henry Ford himself and 12 other investors. In 1908, they created what was the most important automobile of our time, the Model T, which you can see on the bottom left-hand, that only picture there. That's the Model T. It sold 15 million cars during the time that it was, being built. 15 million cars. So most important vehicle of our time for many different reasons. A year later, Ford instituted the $5 a day pay for factory workers. This was important for a lot of different reasons. First off, he doubled the wage. $5 a day was a lot. This actually gave the opportunity for the factory workers themselves to actually purchase a product they were building. It wasn't just for the wealthy class. So that was actually really important too, which helped Henry sell more vehicles. He produced the first truck a couple of years later, and in 1942, Ford Motor Company ceased to do civilian auto production, and they produced only U.S. military equipment. And kind of keeping up with the times in the last decade or so, in 2003, Ford Motor Company celebrated their 100th year anniversary. And in 2009, they introduced the EcoBoost engine in its automobile lineup, which is an example of how they keep innovating with their automobiles. Ford market presence. So if you see here, their share of U.S. production in 2014 was 20%, the highest of any other company. And what really made up most of that percentage was the most sold vehicle in the U.S. in the last 30 years, which you can probably guess it's the Ford F-Series, those Ford F-150 trucks that you see everywhere. Myself included, we own a Ford F-150 truck. everywhere you look, there's a Ford F-150 truck, and they ended up actually selling 1 million more cars than Toyota and Hyundai in the U.S. So you see a lot of Toyota, but you see a ton more Ford automobiles. Ford was the top 3 of automakers in company investments. So Ford actually does invest a lot of money in the research and development of their products or lineup and what they want to do next, what comes next. The top 3 producing regions in revenue in terms of billions of dollars. First off is the United States, coming in at $82.37 billion. Next is United Kingdom at 11.74 and Canada at 9.41. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Miss Brittany, who is going to talk to us about our vision, our mission, and our SWOT analysis.